Factories are supposed to be humming with machines, efficiency, and the smell of hard work, but sometimes they turn into scenes straight out of a horror story. From crushing machinery to deadly chemical mishaps, some factory accidents have gone beyond oops into pure nightmare territory. These aren't faceless statistics. They're real people whose lives were tragically cut short while doing ordinary jobs. In this countdown of the most terrifying factory deaths ever, we'll peek behind the steel doors, get a glimpse of what went horribly wrong, and maybe shiver a little because industrial horror is real and it's chillingly fascinating. In the quiet city of Yuma, Arizona, a tragedy unfolded at Gowan Milling LLC in early January 2026 that shook the local community and highlighted the hidden dangers of industrial workplaces. Jose Fernando Partida, a 57-year-old dedicated plant worker, had spent years maintaining the equipment that kept the mill running smoothly. On January 4, 2026, he was performing a routine task, cleaning one of the facility's large chemical mixers. What should have been a standard maintenance procedure quickly turned into a nightmare. Somehow, the industrial mixer activated unexpectedly while he was inside, trapping him in its unforgiving interior. The situation was immediately perilous. Despite the presence of co-workers who rushed to assist, the size and complexity of the machinery, combined with the chemical hazards involved, made freeing him a challenge. Emergency teams were called in, and for hours, Partida remained trapped inside the mixer, his cries for help echoing through the factory walls. Hazmat teams and first responders worked meticulously to cut power, stabilize the machinery, and safely extract him. After approximately 5 hours, he was finally freed, severely injured, and rushed to a hospital for treatment. The severity of his injuries, including broken bones, extensive bruising, and internal trauma, made it clear that his path to recovery would be long and uncertain. Despite intensive medical care, Partida's condition deteriorated over the following days, and on January 10, 2026, he passed away, leaving a grieving family and a stunned community behind. The aftermath of the accident drew attention not only because of the tragic loss of life, but also because of the broader questions it raised about workplace safety. Gowan Milling LLC released statements expressing their condolences and confirming that emergency protocols were followed. But the incident sparked a renewed conversation about the risks industrial workers face every day. Experts and labor safety advocates emphasized that machinery of this scale should always have redundant safety measures to prevent accidental activation, particularly during maintenance or cleaning procedures. The tragedy of Partida's death serves as a sobering reminder of the fine line between routine work and catastrophic accidents in industrial settings. It also illustrated the human cost behind statistics and regulations, the pain endured by families, co-workers, and emergency responders who confront such traumatic events firsthand. In interviews with local media, Partida's son, Omar, described the harrowing hours his father was trapped and the heartbreak of losing him, capturing the deeply personal toll that these incidents impose beyond the headlines. This incident has prompted authorities, including the Yuma County Sheriff's Office and the Industrial Commission of Arizona, to launch a formal investigation. They aim to determine precisely how the mixer activated and whether there were lapses in safety procedures or equipment design that contributed to the fatal outcome. Meanwhile, community members have rallied around the Partida family, with local news outlets reporting on GoFundMe campaigns established to support medical bills and funeral expenses. The response underscores a dual reality. While industrial work powers economies and communities, it carries inherent risks that demand rigorous safeguards, thorough training, and constant vigilance. The story of Jose Fernando Partida is a tragic human tale of dedication, vulnerability, and the unforeseen dangers that can strike even the most experienced workers. It is also a reminder that workplace safety is not merely a compliance issue, but a moral responsibility, with the potential to protect or, if neglected, to cost lives. In reflecting on this tragedy, one cannot help but acknowledge the courage and commitment of industrial workers everywhere, and the urgent need for systems that prioritize human life above all else, ensuring that no routine task ever ends in such devastating loss again. On the morning of September 17, 2025, the Palermo's pizza production facility in West Milwaukee was operating like any other day. Machines whirring, conveyor belts moving dough and toppings along the line, and employees focused on keeping the factory running smoothly. Among them was Robert Sharon, 45, a longtime employee who split his time between management and hands-on work on the production floor. Sharon was known for his dedication, expertise, and familiarity with the machinery that powered the plant. On that day, however, the routine and predictability of the factory would turn tragic. While working near one of the robotic machines, he was caught in a catastrophic accident. Despite the immediacy of emergency response efforts, Sharon was pronounced dead at the scene, a sudden loss that shocked his colleagues, the community, and the broader industrial world. The incident was not just a tragic death, it was a stark reminder of the risks inherent in modern industrial workplaces, especially those that integrate complex machinery with human labor. The Palermo's pizza plant had long relied on robotic machinery to maintain efficiency, consistency, and speed in its production process. Robots, like the one involved in Sharon's accident, are designed to perform repetitive tasks with precision, reducing human error and increasing output. Yet, as this tragedy demonstrated, even the most advanced systems are not without danger. OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, launched an immediate investigation to determine how a routine interaction with the machine could turn fatal. The investigation looked into whether safety protocols were in place, whether emergency shutoffs were accessible, and whether training procedures were sufficient for employees who regularly worked alongside such powerful equipment. The scrutiny highlighted the delicate balance that factories must maintain between technological efficiency and worker safety, a balance that, when disrupted, can have devastating consequences for the Palermo's pizza team and the local community. The loss of Robert Sharon was deeply personal. Colleagues described him as hardworking, reliable, and someone who approached every task, whether managerial or manual, with professionalism and care. His death prompted an outpouring of grief and concern, but also reflection on workplace safety standards and facilities that operate with high-powered, automated machinery. The accident became a sobering example of why strict adherence to safety protocols, proper training, and the integration of fail-safes are critical in environments where humans and machines interact. Beyond the individual tragedy, Sharon's death sparked conversations in industrial and regulatory circles about how to prevent similar accidents in the future. The hope, painfully, was that lessons learned from this loss would lead to stronger protections for other workers, ensuring that automation enhances human labor rather than endangers it. Robert Sharon's passing is remembered not only as a tragic accident, but also as a cautionary tale about the intersection of technology, labor, and safety. Factories today are increasingly automated, relying on robotics to maximize productivity. But this incident serves as a stark reminder that even the most sophisticated machinery can become deadly without proper safeguards. The Palermo's pizza plant, law enforcement, OSHA, and industry experts continue to examine the circumstances, striving to prevent another life from being lost under similar conditions. For his co-workers, family, and the broader industrial community, the hope is that Sharon's legacy will not only honor his dedication and hard work, but also reinforce the critical importance of workplace safety in a world where humans and machines coexist in close quarters. His death, while profoundly tragic, underscores the need for vigilance, accountability, and continuous improvement in industrial safety practices across the nation. On January 12, 2026, tragedy struck at the Hiranyakeshi sugar factory in Sankeshwar, Karnataka, when Seichin Yamanani, a daily wage worker, lost his life in a horrific industrial accident. Seichin was performing routine work, loading lime into a crusher unit, when he slipped and fell into a moving conveyor belt. The high-speed machinery left no room for rescue, and he suffered fatal injuries on the spot. Co-workers attempted to stop the machine and help him, but the effort was unfortunately unsuccessful. What should have been a routine workday ended in devastating loss for Sachin's family, colleagues, and the local community. Industrial accidents like this expose the often harsh realities faced by laborers in manufacturing and processing industries. In sugar factories, workers are frequently in close proximity to high-risk machinery, including crushers, conveyors, and boilers. Yet, safety protocols are sometimes inadequate or poorly enforced. In this case, investigators are examining whether the factory had sufficient protective barriers, emergency stop mechanisms, and proper worker training in place. These are essential elements in industrial safety, designed to prevent exactly this kind of fatal accident. The fact that a worker could come into direct contact with moving machinery underlines a critical lapse in safety management. Local authorities and the Sankeshwar police immediately began an investigation, seeking to determine whether negligence played a role in the accident. Early reports indicate that while the factory was operational under normal conditions, certain safety measures may have been overlooked or insufficiently maintained. This incident has sparked broader discussions on workplace safety standards in Indian sugar factories, highlighting the pressing need for both enforcement of existing regulations and the implementation of stricter preventive measures. Industrial machinery accidents remain a serious risk worldwide, but incidents like this emphasize that preventable hazards still claim lives when safeguards fail. Media coverage of Sachin's death has been reported by major outlets such as Times of India, which detailed the circumstances of the accident and the police investigation. Read here, local news channels, including Public TV English, also reported on the tragedy, providing eyewitness accounts and coverage of the rescue attempt. Video footage circulating on YouTube captures the emergency response and aftermath, offering a sobering reminder of how quickly routine industrial tasks can turn deadly when safety is compromised. Watch here. Beyond the immediate tragedy, the incident raises larger questions about worker protection in industrial environments. Daily wage workers like Sachin often face high physical demands and minimal safety assurances, making them particularly vulnerable. While machinery is designed to improve efficiency and productivity, the human cost is significant when risk mitigation measures are insufficient. Advocates for industrial safety stress the importance of mandatory safety training, regular machinery inspections, and protective equipment for all personnel operating near high-risk equipment. This accident underscores the urgency of these measures and serves as a cautionary example for factories across India and beyond. In remembering Sachin Yamanani, it is clear that industrial safety cannot be treated as optional or secondary. Factories have a duty of care to their workers, and failure to provide adequate safeguards can have tragic consequences. This incident is a stark reminder that every worker deserves a safe environment, and that industrial progress must never come at the cost of human life. While the investigation continues, the broader lesson is urgent and universal. Prevention is far better than reaction, and rigorous enforcement of safety standards is essential to ensure that no more lives are needlessly lost to avoidable accidents. In September 2025, a tragic incident at a metal manufacturing plant in Incheon, South Korea, claimed the life of a 41-year-old Cambodian worker, highlighting the ongoing dangers faced by industrial laborers, especially migrant workers. While industrial machinery is designed to improve productivity, it also comes with inherent risks that demand constant vigilance and rigorous safety protocols. On that fateful day, the worker was operating heavy machinery when his glove was caught, pulling him into the device and causing fatal injuries. The event sent shockwaves through the local community and migrant worker networks, bringing renewed attention to workplace safety standards and the responsibilities of employers to protect their staff. Authorities quickly launched an investigation, examining whether the plant complied with South Korea's Serious Accidents Punishment Act, which holds management criminally accountable for workplace fatalities caused by negligence or insufficient safety measures. This incident is far from isolated, as South Korea has seen a series of industrial accidents involving both domestic and migrant workers over the years. Migrant laborers, who often work in high-risk environments, may face language barriers, lack of safety training, and limited access to legal recourse, which can increase their vulnerability to accidents. Reports following the Incheon tragedy pointed out that safety training and emergency response protocols were under scrutiny, raising difficult questions about the balance between productivity and worker protection. The Cambodian community in South Korea, as well as human rights organizations, expressed concern that foreign workers are disproportionately exposed to hazardous conditions, a reminder that labor migration, while economically beneficial, carries serious risks when safety enforcement is inconsistent. The accident also served as a sobering example of how a single moment of oversight or misjudgment can result in irreversible consequences, emphasizing the human cost behind headlines about industrial efficiency. In the wake of the accident, discussions around workplace safety intensified, drawing attention to both legal reforms and cultural attitudes toward industrial labor. Korean authorities reaffirmed their commitment to strict enforcement of safety laws, including regular inspections and penalties for violations, while companies were urged to implement more robust training and protective measures, particularly for foreign workers who might not fully understand operational hazards. Media coverage, including reports by Korea Jungang Daily and Korean news outlets, highlighted the personal story of the worker, moving beyond statistics to underscore the human tragedy behind the machinery. Families, co-workers, and communities mourned the loss, reflecting on the fragile balance between human life and industrial advancement. While the Cambodian worker's death is a stark reminder of the dangers of industrial labor, it also serves as a catalyst for dialogue, policy review, and renewed efforts to ensure that all workers, regardless of nationality, can return home safely at the end of their shift. The tragedy resonates beyond Incheon, reminding societies worldwide that progress and safety must go hand in hand, and that every life lost to preventable workplace accidents represents a profound failure of systems meant to protect human beings. On the morning of October 11, 2012, Jose Milena, a 62-year-old veteran employee at the Bumblebee Foods plant in Santa Fe Springs, California, clocked in like any other day. For decades, Milena had been part of the humming rhythm of the plant, surrounded by conveyor belts, industrial ovens, and the constant scent of canned tuna. That morning, however, what seemed like an ordinary shift would turn into a tragedy that shook the workplace safety world. In a move that would prove fatal, Milena entered one of the plant's massive industrial ovens to perform routine work, a confined space that would ultimately become a lethal trap. His colleagues, unaware that he had gone inside, continued with their tasks, loading roughly 12,000 pounds of tuna into the oven and sealing it to begin the sterilization cycle. The oven, designed to operate at about 270 degrees Fahrenheit, started its process, effectively cooking its contents, including Milena, in a horrifyingly literal sense. By the time anyone realized he was inside, the cycle had already run, and his body was discovered hours later. It was a shocking scene, one that exposed not just a single mistake but systemic flaws in workplace safety, confined space procedures, and oversight in industrial settings. The immediate aftermath of the incident involved a flurry of investigations, legal scrutiny, and public outrage. The California Division of Occupational Safety and Health, CalOSHA, launched a full review of the plant, uncovering significant violations related to confined space entry protocols and failure to ensure employee safety. In Los Angeles County, prosecutors charged Bumblebee Foods and 2 plant managers, the director of plant operations and the former safety manager, with felony violations for willfully neglecting safety standards that directly led to Milena's death. The company faced fines and public scrutiny, but the incident highlighted deeper systemic issues. Industrial plants relying on human workers to enter spaces that were inherently dangerous, the absence of fail-safes to prevent such tragedies, and a workplace culture that sometimes placed productivity over safety. Milena's death became a grim cautionary tale for the food processing industry and beyond, emphasizing the need for stricter enforcement of occupational safety laws. In the years following the tragedy, Bumblebee Foods took legal and financial steps to address the incident, culminating in a $6 million settlement in 2015. This settlement, the largest known criminal workplace safety violation payout in California for a single fatality, included compensation to Milena's family, penalties, and mandated improvements to plant safety measures. The ovens were retrofitted with cameras. Procedures were revised to prevent employees from needing to enter active industrial machinery, and training was updated to ensure that no worker would face the same fate again. While money and regulation cannot undo the loss of a life, these measures represent an attempt to prevent similar accidents in the future and serve as a reminder that safety cannot be compromised, no matter the operational pressures of production. Jose Milena's death was a tragic loss, but it also became a catalyst for change, highlighting the human cost of workplace negligence and the vital importance of enforcing safety protocols in industrial environments. Even years later, his story remains a sobering example of what can go wrong when procedures fail, and a reminder that behind every machine and assembly line is a human life that matters.